everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Lunch and Learn presentation so we can learn more about Chinese students. My name is Tasha Welch, and I'm the Acting Director of International Programs and Global Advancement, and it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter today, Connie Chan, or we can also call her Mrs. Connie Louie, because she just got married, so congratulations. Connie has been the Director of Asia Operations based in Hong Kong for Royal Road since January 2010, right? Quite a long time. And she has 17 years experience recruiting Chinese students, working with Chinese alumni, doing teacher training programs, and short-term ESL programs as well. And Connie has a Master of Arts in, I need to look at my paper here, degree from a Master of Arts in Culture, Education, and Human Development from the Steinhardt School in New York, at New York University, and a Bachelor of Business Administration from Indiana University in Bloomington. And prior to her work here at Royal Roads, she was the China Project Manager at Thompson Rivers University. So, over to Connie.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming for this session. I will be very general, telling everyone about something I know about China. Actually, we got a few expertise here, like Malan and Felix. They also come from China. I'm originally from Hong Kong, but I'm very fortunate that I was able to live in China from like around year 1999 to year 2008 in Beijing. So I have those experience in China and to pick up a lot, and I hope to share those experience with you. Originally, I would like to focus on more on-campus students, undergraduate or graduate students, but we also know that some faculty they are interested in teaching in some offshore program in China too. So I will be also speak a little bit about that. But before I start, if you don't mind, I do want to know who are the audience. May I know who are from the Faculty of Business, if you are from the School of, Faculty of Management, and either you associate faculty or you are a faculty. So, okay, thank you. And how about from the Faculty of Social Science, if you're faculties? Thank you. And if you are supporting staff, may I know, raise a hand. Oh, that's good. So, and how many of you involved in dealing with Chinese students directly? Good. Okay. So I will start with a China map first. Yeah. I think everyone knows that China is a big country. The size of the country is a little bit smaller than Canada, but the population is 1.6 billion people. And the major municipalities, like in the north is Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai. In the south is Guangzhou, in say Guangdong province, and on the west is Chongqing. And actually, lots of people saying that in China, once you go to China, you have been in Europe. So that means each province, you have its own culture, dialect, a lot of differences, but at the same time, they share a lot of similar philosophy together. And the weather also range very differently. In the past, a lot of students are coming to Canada. The record of more students willing to come to Canada, they come from more colder weather area. Like the people from the southern area, actually they're more attractive to go to Australia or United States because they found that the weather is more similar to the southern weather. But it's good that Guangdong province and British Columbia province, they're actually sister province, and also the city of Guangzhou and Vancouver, which has been also celebrating many years of sister city relationship. So for the education system in China, for high school, basically right now there's about 3 different systems right now. One is the regular high school, one is the international program or international high school that they're using a foreign program, and also vocational high school. So, but about maybe more than 70–80% students coming to rurals, I believe that they're either from regular high school or the international program. The high school, there's also very differences. Like in China, each province, they have is provincial level, they call it the Band 1 high school. And also each city, they also have their own Band 1 high school too. So if you can go to those school, I think those students, they are quite mentally and everything, they are quite ready to become challenged. The only thing they need to be teach is ESL, English, and also the Western mentality. So those students are from those good high schools, because high school exam, I should say the university examination are the most vigorous exam and the most important exam for Chinese students. So in their high school years, they study maybe 16 hours per day and towards that examination. So if we can get more of those students, I think that is good for the undergraduate program. And the other program is the international program. For example, Rural's, it has its feeder school system. We have some partnership. For example, the Maple Leaf system, which has over 15 high schools in China, which is using British Columbia Dotwood system. So for those students, actually, they're using everything the Canadian or the British Columbia standard, even the examination paper, because each school, after students finish the exam, they need to mail everything back to Canada to do the grading. So those students coming from those systems, they should be quite compatible too. Of course, there's other provinces, they have a different system. For example, we have students come from Concord system, Concord High School. They're mainly in Shenzhen and also in Beijing. But those students using New Brunswick program. And they also need to go through a Chinese high school, relatively easy high school program. But they're quite okay to transfer to rurals for university. But maybe the English itself is also depends on the students, because, for example, in Concord system, they also have AP program or the regular program. So if students can go to the AP program, advanced placement, that means they're more vigorous. But I think at this moment, we don't take credits from students from AP to exam some of the beginning year 1 courses. Of course, there's many IB schools in China right now, because back in 1999 or 1998, there's already IB programs in China, and it's mushrooming around China too. But for admission, again, rurals at this moment, we are not taking credit from certain IB diploma students. So students, again, need to start from year 1 beginning. So, and if students passing those IB diploma requirement, they may want to go to some other university that they can recognize their achievement. And the third category is the vocational high school, which is relatively, students are not that vigorous at some point, but this is also the beauty of international education, that you allow them to able to study what they are interested, and it may take them a little bit more time to understand English, and also take them longer to study the program. I'm just talking average, it's a general idea. So, but those are the high school system. And for college and university system, for college itself, most of Chinese program, 3 years for diploma program. So when students in China, basically what's different from Canada is, normally is if students cannot go to university, they go to college. So that is the norm. And, but if students go to a 3 years college, right now, when they finish the 3 year college, they can leverage to a 2 year university program in China, or there's a lot of transfer program we have to Canada or in United States. Some call it 3+1 or some call it 3+2. So those students, they need a lot of ESL support for sure. So, we need to give them a lot of preparation so that parents know that the investment in the students is not only like a 2-year, year 3, year 4 program, but it's also maybe at least 1 to 3 semester ESL. Some students maybe even need more than that. So if the language portion can help them, that's great. And for university itself, in China, there's also a lot of joint program in these days. A lot of American university or UK university, actually, they have program in China. And again, there's a few kinds of university program. And there's some university program, actually, a lot of university in this state, they have a 1-year preparation program for students to transfer overseas, or 2 years. And some program is recognized overseas, may not be necessarily recognized by China. So those program students really need to transfer out of their program. And in China, university or college, they also have 2 kinds. One is public and one is private. And how do you define private? Is a lot of them right now is inside university. About 10, 15 years ago, Chinese government allowed individuals or companies to joint venture with the public university and set up, they call it a secondary college. And with that secondary college, everything is, the cost itself is recoveries. That means government are not paying subsidize for those programs. So the university need to charge higher tuition for those students. And but it has to be monitored by the public university system for the academic achievement. But a lot of the time, the difference is students may have a lower entry points for those programs compared to a public university. And for public university, there's, I'm not sure, you know that in China, there's top 100 universities in China. Those are the best. And then there's other provincial university. Those top 100 universities directly belong to Ministry of Education. So students or administrators, they're federal level, basically. And then the others are provincial education department responsible for that. And there's also a city level universities. And normally city level university, they also have a lower entry points of students' entry marks. So for Royal Roads right now, for the recruitment channel, study group is the major recruitment channel for China, and they mainly work with agents and also attending fairs and also funding feeder schools. Or some agents, they actually like to set up their own language program too, so that they can have the students in their own pot, and then they distribute to different countries, different people. Depends on how much commission and how good is the city, how good is the ranking of the university, etc. For Royal Roads, it start international student recruitment directly in China is back in year 2010. And at that time, Royal Roads set up some feeder school partnership, like 2+2 program with some university, or 3+2 program, and also the high school recruitment system. But overall, like in these days, China is a big market. United States opened up more seats available for Chinese students. So actually the market is quite vigorous. But again, the big population, because in the past it's basically the wealthier provinces, students can come out, which is on the East Coast. East Coast is wealthier than the West Coast, majorly speaking. But right now, the government also shifting the internal development and having the general income for people get I mean, people's general income are getting higher and higher, and especially in inner cities or in the east, in the west. So actually, there's still a lot of potential. There's potential partners from the west actually really want to do partnership with rurals. So those also are the potential future students for rurals. Actually, rurals also have right now has 2 joint programs. I think most of you will know about it. One is with Tianjin University of Technology, which is the MEM program, Master of Arts in Environment and Management, and the other is Tsinghua University, Tsinghua Polytechnic, which is a 3-year diploma program in China, and students graduate from this diploma in international hotels and management. They can transfer to rurals for year 3 and year 4. For the MEM program, the students in the program, they're working adults. Students apply to those programs. A lot of them, they have work experience, and they use their weekend to study for the program. And so their English level will not be as good as students coming to rurals on campus. But because with their vast experience in their life, so it will be good that like it's actually what the program can bring to them in their workplace, and how through rurals program to influence the environmental problem or challenge in these days in China. But for Tsinghua University's, Tsinghua Polytechnic students, actually it has been a wonderful program in China, and actually most of the students, they finish the diploma program, they can get a job in China already. So, and for students coming to Canada, I think finance would be a challenge for them, and or the language challenge, because their overall language ability may not be as good as those students. They can go to like a tier 1 or a provincial university directly. But the good thing is they learn a lot about international hotel and management in the first 2-3 years with wonderful associate faculty in the program, so that actually they being dispatched to very good internship and also hotels after they graduate. That's what I know about the beauty of this program, so that even though it's a diploma program in China, actually overall, Chinese government also struggle about vocational education. And our program in Tsinghua, in Zhejiang province, has been a very steady, a good program. It started with the number of students to recruit at the beginning, but now it's become a very good, steady program right now. And thank you so much for the supporting staff and faculty in the program. So for Chinese students, actually, you know, China is a country with over 5,000 years of history, and Confucius mentality actually is very rooted in every Chinese. So what is the beauty of the Confucius thinking is they respect authority. So if in the future, new Chinese students coming to the university, what is good is no matter your supporting staff or your faculty, if students know that you are teachers, they will pay respect. So this is the tool that for faculty or supporting staff, how you help the Chinese students, they're new to a different culture. They may feel very lost because for the Canadian education, I think students start from their young age, they learn how to do critical thinking or self-learning. That is something is actually seldomly taught in China unless students go to international program. But even though students go to international program, a lot of those programs is a mixture of different teachers. It's Chinese teachers and Canadian teachers or American teachers. So, so critical thinking and self-learning, how to teach Chinese students how to pick up the things on themselves, but using your authority to coach them, to guide them. And also, a lot of the time, students making decisions through their parents. because the authority, the Confucius thinking is also parents or father is the major figures of the society. So parents will help students to make basically a lot of decisions. I think quite a number of students in our campus, they may not want to study business, they may not want to study whatever, but it's a decision that a combination the parents make for them. And then they need to live with the consequence, and how to support them to become involved and enjoy in the program. I think that is also very important, and help them to be able to have an eye-opening experience into the field instead of just getting a degree. I think that is very important. The other thing I think we need to really help students at the very beginning will be help them not to get into the trap of plagiarism. It's not they want to cut and paste stuff from the internet or copy from the book, but this is what they used to do, and they do not see this is actually a trap. This is something is not acceptable in the society. I think in orientation week or so, or there will be some writing courses to help students to get familiar with those challenge. And the other thing about Chinese students is what's good is they really want to respect networking or relationship. So once you gain that trust, they will really pay attention and do their best. And also, if we can also create an environment for our Canadian students or other international students to continue to make the networking, or we say it in the Chinese way, it's the guanxi, because China still continue to grow, and once in a while there's Canadian students that will come to me and say, want to know more about China. So through the small group participation, if we can involve Canadian students to help Chinese students, that's also very important. I think most of the time, the cultural differences, how to engage international students, especially Chinese students, into small group work or discussion, and help them to understand the content or the culture behind that. That is also very important. Ability-wise, I think when Roro has a relative strict admission requirement, and the admission team did their best to scan people, but once students come here, there's still a process for them to understand the Canadian mentality, how to do things right. So if there's opportunity that to have a Canadian pal to help with Chinese students, that would be lovely, because China is still growing, and it should be the way for the next maybe 20, 30 years. So helping Canadian students to network with Chinese students, I see that is also very important. And the other area that a lot of people would think, Chinese students that they will not eat too much. I mentioned about the living habit now. Actually, if you're supporting supporting students coming into homestay or about food, I found that a lot of people think that maybe Chinese relatively petite and they're not eating that much. Actually, a lot of the time they can eat a lot, including visiting scholars or adult learners coming on campus. So prepare a lot of food, because food is is something you mingle people. Like if you want to cultivate a relationship, like invite someone for a meal instead of coffee. I think and just develop the relationship for mealtime. And for Chinese students, a lot of them, they at this moment, they're coming to Canada. The other reason is students getting their degree here in Canada, they can have 3 years work permit. after they graduate. And with the Canadian federal policy right now, their parents basically is very difficult to immigrate to Canada now as a family or as an investing unit. So students coming here, their purpose is to get a job in the future. So through those 3 years of working work visa period, they can apply for permanent residence and find a permanent job here in Canada. And I think this is also the federal government's purpose. Instead of in the past the skilled worker, they get the highest academic level people. They come here, they cannot understand the cultural differences. A lot of them, they're PhD, maybe they need to be working in Canadian, Thai, or Chinese grocery stores. So, and they're using up a lot of resources from Canada too. But having international students, especially Chinese students, to get to know the Canadian mentality so that when they able to find a job in Canada, it can fit in very well. And I see it's the beauty. So, and a lot of parents also hope the students able to have a peaceful future forever here in Canada. So this is what the parents help them to plan ahead. And so if, as an institute, help them to become a good citizen or a permanent resident to Canada, help them to know what is right and what is not right to do in this country, that would be very good. I set aside time for Q&A actually. So too bad Leslie is gone, but I have a chance to quickly talk to her with her questions. I'm not sure any one of you have some questions about China, or I know a lot of you also have some experience already. So, but I know that earlier I talked with Tasha when we have this pre-meeting. We talk about actually it's an incident that the international teachers coming here from China, they live in the faculty building. That actually the incident I see it is in China, people mainly use gas stove instead of electronic stove. So they don't have the mindset that they do not see fire, then they actually it's already turned on. So those are the small differences. But what's good is we have Olga here, we have Malin, and a lot of people that they have the experience with international students. So in the future, you can also go to them if you have any troubleshooting issues. Yeah. Yes?
In my experience, Chinese students who are recently from China tend to be very shy in the classroom.
Yes.
And if there's groups of them, they tend to stick together.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for people teaching Chinese students about how to better engage them in the class and with the other students?
I would suggest really, the faculty or the associate faculty, they may need to do a little bit more homework is to give out instruction. And also if there's, definitely Chinese students tend to group themselves together. I think it's also the phenomenon that in year 1, year 2, there's a majority of students, they are Chinese already. So even though there's some other international students in the program, but how to make sure that you give out point 1, 2, 3, 4 and make sure they achieve that. And they're very shy, so instead of waiting them to raise their hand, if the faculty member willing to pinpoint on someone, have him or her to answer the questions. It's more a teaching. It's instead of a two-way, it is more an authority, as I mentioned at the beginning, that the teacher has the authority to pinpoint and gradually to give them encouragement, because I think this is definitely is a new experience for them, and I think if let them know in advance what is happening tomorrow. That would be very good so that they can prepare themselves. For those already prepared themselves well, they will have what to say because they're also translating from Chinese into English too. I hope this helps.
My name is Trish. I'm working as a team coach here, so working with teams, and I'm a new employee for Worlds. And one of my questions, you really asked a question that's very pertinent, but given that many of the Chinese students you said were, their parents are helping to direct their decisions and they're really working from that perspective as a motivator, how can I help to help them be even more motivated to be part of, for example, teams, because it is a different paradigm for them.
Yeah.
Experience, the motivation factor.
It's really help them to find their passion. This is my suggestion. That may be a path that their parents help them already, but at the same time, each major itself, they have its own beauty. And realistic speaking, the beauty of Royal Roads is it really leads to good jobs for students. I'm very happy to see alumni from mainland China coming on campus from year 2010 or year 2011 or 12. They really can find good jobs in Vancouver or in Victoria. That those hardworking students in Royal Roads, it pay off for those good jobs especially in Lower Mainland. So this is the hope for them. Like, yes, there may be some students, they say, actually, I don't want to come to Canada study. It's a decision from my parents. Eventually, I want to go back to China, because we encounter that kind of students. They rather to take it easy instead of hardworking. So I think it's also a decision they need to make. Either you keep going, get your degree, or you can withdraw, because otherwise you're wasting your time here. And but for those who are vigorous enough, who are willing to stay, definitely all the hard work they can make, it will pay off for the rest of their life. So it's really encouraging them, because in the past, everything is fitted to them every day. They go to high school or go to university or even go to a master program. It's all fitted because their parents will help the students in their year 2, sophomore year already to find the university, even though they're in University of Toronto. That the parents still helping them to find a PhD program, because this is the job of parents. A lot of good parents, they think this is the best they can help with their kids. So, but I really suggest to motivate them, because if they see things is themselves, that's good. But there's some element we may not be able to change, and also to tell them what's like, if you do well, it's also, you're doing this is not just for yourself, it's also for the team. If you're not working hard, it's actually harming other people. But it's not easy, but like using your authority and give them instruction, because if you give them instruction 1, 2, 3, 4, it's easy for them to follow your instruction. If you can, like maybe baby step, if you can start with that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm a support staff.
Yes.
And a lot of our students are from China.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, what are maybe some things that we can do from a support side, not so much from the faculty side, to start helping to build the students' self-confidence? I'm finding with my students especially, we're having a lot of issues where they're embarrassed to be speaking in English, so they're not coming and asking for help when they need it, because they're kind of shy and afraid that someone's going to laugh at them if they get a word wrong or they don't pronounce things correctly. No matter how much I'm saying, like, doesn't matter what it comes out as, like, let's just try to figure out what you're trying to get at, and we can make it happen, right? But I'm finding students are not approaching for help or asking for help when they need it, just because they're embarrassed that someone's going to make fun of their English.
May I know which program are you in?
The BBA program.
The BBA program, mainly year 3, year 4?
And year 2.
Year 2.
3, 4. By year 4, they've got it figured out. And they realize I'm not a scary person.
No.
But year 2 and year 3, they seem to be very shy afraid to ask for help. And I'm trying to find ways to make them feel more safe and more confident, that I'm a safe place for them to come and ask for help.
You are like an assistant teaching staff, like.
My role is technically a program associate,
Okay.
so I'm the support for the students and for the faculty.
Yeah. If you will be able to arrange some side activities for them to because again the beauty of Aurora's is a cohort base.
Yes.
So like students in that classroom, if they know each other well, they will feel more comfortable. It's actually at the beginning, if the year 2 or, so maybe you change students from year 2 to year 3, right? Some of the time, because year 3, there's Canadian students coming in. So like in year 2 and year 3, if there's some activities that you can mingle them, or you can give them some coaching activities. For example, class is coming up. You just invite them, come and teach them how to watch hockey, so that they have some common language with Canadian students, because they come from different area, and how to like make them feel comfortable with Canadian students is very important.
Some more social activities.
That can be one thing. The second thing is they may not be open enough to start with, but with you, they may feel very comfortable to talk to you or whatever. So you start using your teaching authority, that like you say, okay, like, I'm not sure you can do that or not, but in China you can. You need to answer. You need to make sure that in this semester you have taught, or each week you need to be answer 3 questions at least, and to have that record, that kind of thing. Because if this is part of the assignment, even though they're shy, but it's part of the assignment. And you can start with that. I hope it helped. But again, once they, like, as the Newton said, like, they kind of claim to their own, but they're not afraid to talk within themselves, actually. But it's just how to be able to like involve more, and maybe there's some public speaking, or how to do presentation, seminar, or I think it's always the English part. So I'm not sure is that any part in the institute will be able to have those kind of things as language partner or English corner. Just have those a session or lunch time or dinner time that like international students able to talk with Canadian students, if Canadian students have those time, or just it's take a while for you to go to another culture. So yeah, but definitely they will love you. So like you give them instruction, they will follow your instruction. This
has been very useful. Very much appreciated. I'm thinking of my own class. I teach in the BBA program.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the kind of diversity that I get when, with a normal class in terms of skill, attention, diligence, respect, those kinds of things. But I'm also seeing what surprised me, a surprising number of Chinese students who are behaving in ways that I interpret as not respectful to the instructor, not respectful of the learning, not respectful of other students. And so I have been trying strategies which are successful, but I had hoped I wouldn't have to do them every single time. And I'm wondering if what appears to be, it appears to be an extremely wealthy cohort. My students are driving better cars than I am.
Yes.
And I don't know how much this change in the society in China, with students from very wealthy families apparently, if that has changed their whole way of being.
You raise a very important area that is actually happening in China. Is a little bit, or 1% of wealthy people in China actually is already maybe more than the number of the whole country of Canada already, because one city in China is basically large, the population is larger than Canada. And the problem with what you mentioned about those wealthy students, yes, because their parents are so wealthy, and if they do their own calculation, they will see that actually they do not need to do too much for the rest of their life. They're still okay. And yeah, and actually we see those challenge in China to not only international students coming here. That is a difficult part, and I can see that because for example, if you can go to international program in China, a high school program in China, that means you're already wealthier than students going to regular program. Or well, some people can go into regular program, they have a lot of money too. But so those students, they have been, I would say, they're spoiled. Yeah, but again, it takes time to, I'm not sure is it the faculty responsibility, because it's actually their upbringing, it's the whole upbringing. They're the wealthy, spoiled kid, or they basically have that kind of a problem. But I found that like if individuals, you have time, if you tell them you do not like their behavior, one-to-one maybe not say that in front of other people, because like you're doing something good for them individually, because I don't think other people will do that to them, or they don't bother to do that. They even would like to get network with them because of their parents. They can get business from them, etc. But do you see those students, they still be able to excel in their studies, or they're kind of like in the borderline?
Well, I'm just finishing marking the first assignment, so I can't comment totally on that. But and I do want to emphasize that this is individual differences. There are some of the young people driving unbelievably expensive cars are doing very well, and
Yes.
they are attentive in class.
Yes.
And so I'm not creating
no,
a stereotype here.
Yeah.
But there are some that are hiding. It could be shyness. But
Yeah.
when they're hiding, they're also trying to sneak out their cell phones. I mean, we see this with other cultures too. It's not just that. But when I bring it to attention in what I hope is a way that is respectful, because I make it a comment to the class, not embarrassing a student.
Yeah.
The behavior snaps back in the next class or after break or something like that. So it's a large class. I will deal with them individually. However, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, I think again,
a lot
like
of conversations step outside this.
yeah,
That's
the
class.
behavior, like that, like maybe I'm not sure it's the right suggestion or not. It can be in the marking that like they cannot do that, they cannot do that.
Yes.
If they do that, it's penalizing them, because again, even very bad students, they still respect rules and authority. If you write it, you have black and white in what is from day one, they know it, then they will respect that. So,
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
okay, you
Oh,
and
sorry,
then,
you had a question?
yeah, she has a question.
Oh, just a comment really. We've had some, thanks to Madeline, we've had some students come into choir, and that's a great place for them. We've sung songs in Mandarin, and it gives them an opportunity to correct our pronunciation and our grammar. So that's, thank you, Madeline, for bringing that to us.
Okay.
So just building on what Anne had mentioned, we're having a continuous problem with time management and timekeeping. We've had multiple conversations with students, both individually and with the cohort as a whole, and emails and written in policy and about if a class starts at 8:30, you need to be there ready to start class at 8:30. And we're still having, I'd say 2/3 of the class showing up 10 to 20 minutes late for their lecture. it's gotten to the point that we've had to just close the door and they're not allowed in the class after the lecture started because it's interrupting their instructor in the class.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be making a difference.
Yeah.
So what is the mentality in China that some of these students might be coming with about timekeeping?
I just know that when you get into university in China, because all your hard time already passed, so they enjoy their university life. Some students, they just keep missing class. So if their friends, they stay in China, they can skip class. I don't know, because sometimes it's very difficult, and it's also individuals' learning habit too.
Oh, definitely.
But if you can utilize Melon or Felix or Kai, that like you at the beginning of the program, that like have them to emphasize the importance with the rules, that like and have them to, I'm just suggesting, have them to involve, because if they understand clearly what is the consequence. And this is one thing. The second thing is that you really need to let Chinese students know that you come to Canada, you do it the Canadian way. And we will support you to do the Canadian way. Maybe it's not that easy, but they need to learn. So it's about discipline. And some students, they don't care, maybe. So.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a couple things. One is when your classes are really big and you can't meet with students individually, I find that using Moodle is good. You can send them individual emails. So you can send a group of students the same email. So when they get it by email, they get that message that, we've agreed that electronic devices are not allowed in class. Something really simple and neutral. You know how to word it better than I do. But it will go to specifically to the individuals that you know are not respecting that.
So group embarrassment is better than individual embarrassment.
It's not a group though, because you'd be sending it by email.
Yeah, I
And
know.
they'll get it.
But they know do they know who else is getting it?
when you send it through.
Just if you.
They don't know who else is getting
No,
it? It's not on it.
No, it just is a message. And you can also send it to your forum, so that everybody gets the same message. You can do that. I mean, there's many ways to communicate electronically that would send that message, and then they can read it and review it a couple of times, But the other thing that I was thinking about is that I've always found it a good idea to have spend a few minutes during the first class to develop a code of conduct and encourage them to come up with their own rules for the class, whether or not it's going to be appropriate to use electronic devices, or when the instructor says you can bring out your electronic devices at this point and use them for a dictionary or whatever. But whatever they agree on, and then I usually have my own that I want them to agree on, and they usually agree, that's okay. And then ask them to enforce it with each other, and then ask them if there's for any reason that you find that you're going to be late or absent, please let me know and let a friend know, so that we're all kind of part of a network. And the main reason that I explain this to them is because my purpose is for you, my goal is for you to be successful in class. And the way for you to be successful is for us all to agree on these kinds of behaviors. And it's a message that I continue to reiterate. How can you earn a good mark in my class? I can't give you a mark. How can you earn it? You can earn it by doing this and this and this. How do you feel you're doing? Self-assess. Get them to self-assess. And they're pretty good at that. Also get them to write out their own self-assessment. Dear Marianne, this is how I feel I'm doing. Sorry I was late. Give them a chance to think about what their behavior has been for the last couple of weeks, and then write that down.
So thank you. That's almost word for word what I did in the first class, except I picked up 3 new things from you, which are just gems. Thank you very much.
And also, I think you can also use international students, alumni, to do the sharing. I know that in the past there's an alumni session to the new cohort, and through Felix, and he basically have a good network with successful alumni graduate from the business program or hotel program that like you can have them to come and share how they can be successful and what do's and not do's, especially for those Chinese students if you have those kind of opportunity. Yeah.
Build upon the comments, I just want to add a little bit based on my own experience, talking about these wealthy students and students that not behaving. And I think when they're growing up, they probably lack of a role model, somebody to look up to. And for my own experience, I found that I've dealt with some students, they are wealthy and they respond very well to empowerment one-on-one, and they actually looking for a role model, a leader. And sometimes if you have a cohort, you have a whole bunch of students not behaving well, maybe create this environment and identify the leader and empower them, and they copy. And Chinese students like to copy, and they do. And somebody's doing very well, and I want to do. They found their role model, they found their leader, and then the entire group will do better. That's a little bit I want to add.
In the same way that you were saying you wouldn't want to make a generalization that wealthy students have behavior problems versus that, I'd also like to caution the whole group that they're not all wealthy. You're noticing the people driving around in Maseratis because they're driving Maseratis. You're not noticing the people walking 2 kilometers from the bus, right? So there are students, because I've been working with these students since 2012, and I've seen a lot of them, and some of them are struggling financially, some of them are struggling emotionally, and so I wouldn't want that generalization. They're not all rich, is what I'm saying. Not by a long shot. So I just want to make sure that generalization didn't get there.
And to be honest, Royal's international students coming here directly to study is only about 5 years only. And it takes a team, the community, to welcome international students. And many universities are ahead of Royal for doing that. So it's how we can continue to build a community that like students will, international students, after they come here, they're not feeling lost or depressed, because this welcoming environment is also very important to let students feel that, okay, I want to stay. Because when the students coming here, it already take a lot of resources, marketing resources to recruit them here. Good that the students' tuition can stay, but if not, actually it's a wasting of resources for themselves and also for us. So how to make sure that they can be successful on campus for this 1 to 4 years, I think that's also very important.
One more general comment. Yesterday we attended Indian's workshop,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
instructing multiculturalism in a classroom. Is that the right title? Anyway, it was fantastic, and I was reminded again of taking the time to explore students' culture. Here we're talking about Chinese students, but just international students in general. So I just would recommend for anyone who has not had the opportunity to attend that workshop or talk to Indian. She's also another great resource and is really passionate about that. And I definitely picked up at least 3 or 4 more ideas to be invitational and find ways to motivate and include and help them be successful even more. So
That's very good. Any more questions? Oh.
There's another opportunity. The Diversity Action Group would really like to have more students involved with that, right? So there's an opportunity there for students to do the leadership there and be the student rep on the Diversity Action Group. That'd be fabulous. Keep it in mind.
That's great. Thank you all for coming for this lunch session, and I hope you all have lunch already. Thank you.